call for Maik. Hello, Maik. How
Hello,
are
good
you?
afternoon. How are
Hi,
you?
good afternoon. So, Volkswagen is very aggressively in electrification. This strategy, Way to Zero, has been talked about during the launch of ID3 and ID4. You are going to tell us more details about this, isn't it?
Yes, I'm happy to do so.
Okay, so I put here your presentation and I will leave you on stage. Bye bye.
Okay, thanks a lot. I do it in presentation mode. Hopefully it works. Okay, perfect. So, the Volkswagen Group strategy, the way to zero. Yeah, why we are doing this. I would not like to say we are aggressive in this. We are very focused and very target oriented. And the reason is quite simple. Yeah, we all know what is going on with our world. Yeah, the climate change is happening and we have to do something against it. Yeah, we as a Volkswagen Group are a major player in the automotive sector, and we are relevant in the segment, so we can drive the change, and therefore we are going into this direction towards the electrification, towards climate neutral mobility. Why we are doing so? The transport sector stands for 14% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. Yeah, and if we are talking about the Volkswagen Group, only the passenger car brands of the Volkswagen Group are responsible for 1% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. Yeah, if we add our trucks and buses business, we can add almost another percent. So we as a Volkswagen Group are responsible for almost 2% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. That means we are really relevant, and if we drive the change, we can be sure that others will follow, and this goes into the right direction to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and to come to a CO2 neutral mobility. It is a very long-term approach. Yeah, we have committed to the Paris climate goals. Yeah, being CO2 neutral in the year 2050. We are 100% committed, and we make sure that we achieve these targets. What does it mean for an automotive OEM like Volkswagen Group? Yeah, being CO2 neutral in the year 2050. That means going backwards. Yeah, somewhere in around the year 2040, we will be selling our last car with a combustion engine somewhere in our world. Because it drives around about 10 years on the roads, and it will be scrapped in the year 2050, and then we are climate neutral. Selling the last car with a combustion engine in the year 2040 means in 2032, 33, we will be introducing the last new car with combustion engines, which will be then in the market for 7 or 8 years, yeah, to be sold last time in the year 2040. Yeah, so introducing a last new car with a combustion engine in the year 2032 or 33 means that we will be introducing a last new platform for combustion engines 6 or 7 years before, because we are always using a platform for 2 car generations. So in the year 2024, perhaps 25, we will be introducing a last time in our history a new platform with combustion engines. Yeah, knowing the development circles, the lead times to develop a new platform, this means next year, or perhaps latest in 2022, we will be starting our last development activities for a new platform for combustion engines. This is in our industry tomorrow. Yeah, so Achieving CO2 neutrality in the year 2050 means now we have to start all the changes, all the transformation activities going into this very positive future. Why electromobility and only electromobility? Because all other drivetrain technologies are not as energy as efficient as the battery electric vehicles. You see here the numbers, and I don't want to say what is written here on the chart. It is very visible, very clear that the battery electric vehicle is the most efficient and best way to sustainably reduce CO2 emissions. Yeah, it is the only way, and therefore we are fully focusing on battery electric vehicles for the next decades. Here you see as an overview the overall strategy. Yeah, we are investing 33 billion euro plus what we are doing in China together with our joint venture partners. We have planned so far to produce 26 million battery electric vehicles until the year 2030. And in order to achieve these huge numbers, yeah, we have planned to introduce to the markets 75 new battery electric vehicles until the year 2030. And we are also investing into charging infrastructure because charging infrastructure is so relevant and so important. Yeah, we are contributing to the net development by adding 36,000 public available charging poles across Europe with an investment of 250 million euro. So we are transforming our factories all over the world. Yeah, the first one is already fully transformed in production of battery electric vehicles only. This is our factory in Zwickau. There we have an installed capacity of 330,000 battery electric vehicles per year. Other factories in Germany and across Europe and the world will follow. These factories will produce the battery electric vehicles CO2 neutral. Yeah, and only one figure for the MEB platform. This is one of our two major platforms. Yeah, we are aiming for 1.5 million MEB platforms produced in the year 2025. Yeah, this is really a very steep ramp up. And as I said, the approach is, and this is very important, it is so important that we are fully focusing on battery electric vehicles because they are the only chance to reach these ambitious CO2 targets. What is such an important news, and we are so happy to be able to communicate this. Yeah, with our first car on the MEB platform, the ID.3, we are able to hand over the car to the customers CO2 neutral. Yeah, the production is not fully CO2 neutral. We have to compensate a little bit, but we are going to 100% CO2 neutrality. But already today, yeah, the first 1,000 cars which are handed over and all the following cars as well will be handed over CO2 neutral. Yeah, if then the customers decide to buy a green energy contract for the usage period, yeah, the car is produced CO2 neutral, the usage period is CO2 neutral, and these are very good news. And electric vehicles are fun to drive. Yeah, they are so clever, they are so intelligent. Yeah, the architecture is so fantastic. Yeah, with the size of a Golf, you can have the interior space of a Passat. Yeah, you get an acceleration of a GTI, a range of up to 550 kilometers, following WLTP standards. Yeah, and a turning circle of a very small car. So it's really fun to drive. We are convinced that this is the future, and therefore we are bringing 75 models in the next 9 years. Here you see, and this shows the, let's say, the how serious we are about the transformation and how focused we are doing that. The small dots on the left-hand side of the charts are showing start of production dates, all over the world. You could now easily add all these dots to some numbers. I don't want to do so, but this shows, we are going. We are coming with so many new cars, and they are produced all over the world. And you see one start of production after the other, with a distance of only a couple of months. They're very strong, very focused, very clear. You see on the right-hand side, we only for the MEB platform, we transform 8 factories until the year 2022 to have the right production capacity for the MEB cars. So this is in a nutshell the e-mobility strategy of the Volkswagen Group. And I would like to talk now about 2 main drivers, because it is not only a transformation of the Volkswagen Group, of a company, it's a transformation of an industry. And this the being so successful is dependent on many other aspects, and two of the main and most important aspects are regulations and the availability of charging infrastructure. And I would like to briefly address these 2 aspects. More and more countries are subsidizing electromobility, are supporting the transformation along the whole value chain for the customers, for the OEMs, for the development of the industry, competencies, etc. And they are putting more and more penalties for ICE cars into the markets. We did an analysis here for the 26 European markets, and you see the numbers on the left-hand side. There are many, or most of the countries have introduced purchase subsidies, tax reductions for company cars or for private customers in general. They are in many cases supporting the development of charging infrastructure with money for the companies which are installing charging infrastructure, but also for the private customers. There are reduced benefits in kind for company car user choosers, for example, etc. So this is good. This definitely supports the transformation towards electrification. Plus soft factors like free parking, which is very nice. If you have a car and you can always find a parking lot and don't have to pay for it. What is also a main driver is for sure the restrictions, the ICE bans. And you see on the left-hand side the potential dates, years, where the countries are going to ban ICEs in the sales, and later on in some cases also for the usage. And this is not in the year 2050. This starts in 2025. Most of the countries are aiming for 2030 or 2035. So this will happen in the very near future, where we and all the other OEMs can only sell electric vehicles, and on the other hand side, the customers can only buy battery electric vehicles or plug-in hybrids. What is also a driver on the regulatory side is the city restrictions. I was so impressed when I first saw these numbers. There are in 647, and this is a number from December 2019. So in almost 650 cities, there are entry restrictions for ICEs. There in 300 cities, there are exceptions for cars with alternative drivetrains, mainly battery electric vehicles. There are 400 cities with environmental zones. But more than 200 different types of regulations, city toll systems, and there's a huge increase over the last 10 years with more than 150%. And I'm pretty sure that much more restrictions will come. We will see many more regulations and restrictions for ICEs or later on for cars in general. The second main driver is the charging infrastructure. This is this shows one of our analyses. We went into the current situation, what kind of public available charging infrastructure does exist, what are the plans for the governments, how are the market dynamics, etc., etc. We focused on public charging infrastructure and as well on charging infrastructure on or at highways. And what we saw at the end of the analysis what was not promising. There are a few countries where we see a very positive development and where we don't see a risk that the customers are not able to find charging infrastructure in the public, but there are more than only one country, so many countries where charging infrastructure is not yet with a sufficient quantity and quality available for the customers. The reason why we did this is that there are different use cases for charging. Today, most of the customers today's customers are mainly charging at home. These are the first time buyers, the early adopters, the tech oriented customers. They have mostly a house and they installed their wall box and they can easily charge their cars at home. With already existing charging infrastructure on highways, they are able to travel. So this customer group is sufficiently addressed with the existing charging infrastructure. More and more companies are putting charging infrastructure at their workplaces. So you see here the relation of the distribution of the different charging use cases. But this will, from our point of view, this will change in the future. With the higher sales volume of battery electric vehicles, we expect a dramatic change from charging at home to charging in the public, because the fast follower and the customers who are now deciding to purchase battery electric vehicles are not always living in a private home. They are living in cities, in multi-story apartment houses, and they have no access to private garages and private wall boxes. So they are dependent on public available charging infrastructure. And therefore we expect a dramatic change towards public available charging infrastructure. It will cover more than 50% of the use cases, charging cases, and we also see the development for higher power charging power, not only 11, 25, 22 or 50 kilowatts, but the trend is clearly 150 up to 350 kilowatt charging power, because it has to happen very fast, that you can add another 100, 200 kilometers of range within 10 or 15 minutes of time. So the development of charging infrastructure is a prerequisite for the sales of battery electric vehicles and for the achievement of our CO2 targets. We did a prediction if the potential CO2 target from a reduction of 37% towards perhaps 50 or minus 55% would lead to an immense increase of the necessary charging stations, charging poles across Europe, depending on whether there's a higher ratio of AC power or DC power. Left-hand side, 1 million or 1.6 million needed charging poles in the year 2025. It would lead to, in the year 2030, to 1.8 or even 4 million charging poles, public available charging poles across Europe. And if then the increase or the more ambitious CO2 targets of more than 50% reduction would then need to an increase to 2.4 up to 5 million charging poles, which are needed across Europe. So this is not happening yet. So we can only encourage everyone to install charging infrastructure, to see the business potential behind charging in the future. Please do something. Please install charging infrastructure along the highways, in the public, at the supermarkets, at your companies, etc., etc. So what I would like to say at the end of my presentation, after the 20 minutes, very fast presentation, we have to work together. I think the targets are very clear. We have to be CO2 neutral in all industry, in all aspects. We have to do it fast. Otherwise, we would have a problem with our world, and the generations after us would have even bigger problems. So we have to be ambitious. We have to commit ourselves to the 2050 Paris climate goals, and ideally we reach them much earlier. We cannot do it alone. We have to align ourselves within the industry. We have to align ourselves, and we have to work together, and we are working together with the governments, with the national governments, but also with the regional governments. We have to work together. We have to align ourselves with the associations, with other industries, other organizations, and we have to do it also across the industries. It is not only a topic of the automotive business. The energy sector is involved, the grid sector is involved, the real estate business is involved, and many other industries as well. So we have sometimes different targets, but we have, when it comes to climate protection and climate change and CO2 neutrality, the same challenges across all industries. So let's work together, let's join forces, and let's try to save the world. Thank you very much.
Wow. Wow. What a great presentation, Mike.
Thank you very much.
Undoubtedly, I will correct my word, not aggressive, but really, really focused. You are really
yeah, that's true.
Impressive, the braveness of putting dates on the end of the IC cars, so precise numbers. Very interesting, the presentation, very knowledgeable, and I really think that it's important to have here these kinds of presentation that allows us to better understand the direction that is of this disruption, and the need, as you told at the end, the big need of collaboration between all of the actors inside and outside the industry, because in that way we can pass through the disruption winning. So
exactly.
thank you very much, and see you soon in life, especially if we can.
Okay, thanks a lot. Have a nice evening. Bye bye.
Okay, bye
Bye.
bye. Bye.